Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Glad everybody's here. Hope you're having a good weekend. It's been, it started off as a rainy, miserable day, and then by 4 o'clock, the clouds started to break and the sun come out, and it ended in a really beautiful day. So, yeah, very strange, but that's all Maine, every bit of it. So, yeah, and I guess a lot of people, boy, clearing out the friggin' stores of Mother's Day stuff. So a lot of people are buying flowers and cards and stuff like that. Everybody's getting ready for it. So it's next Sunday. So, but you know that's what's going on around here. Not a whole lot really. So okay, so this our item here just showed up on my my feed here. Trump rushed to emergency medical visit hidden from press. It says Donald Trump, 79 years old, made an unscheduled, seemingly emergency stop at his Florida dentist on Saturday, igniting even more speculation about his health. Doctor and CNN commentator Jonathan Reiner pointed out on Twitter that the White House has a dental office on site, raising questions about whether the visit, which was not on the president's public schedule, was for an emergency. The White House, quote, "The White House has had a dental operatory since the Hoover administration. Routine dental exams can be done in the White House," unquote, he wrote in response to a press report about the president's appointment. Reiner went on to add, quote, "There's been such a lack of candor about the health of the president that even a visit to the dentist raises questions," unquote. Trump is overdue for his annual physical. His last one was on April 11th of last year. Trump's increasingly unhinged rants on Lie Social, late night posting flurries, and rambling public remarks have invited questions from medical professionals about the state of his cognitive function. Yeah, he sounds like an idiot. Okay, when Trump left for his seemingly emergency scheduled medical visit at 1 p.m., the White House press pool reported Trump was heading to an quote-unquote unknown destination. If we're being kept in the dark about the president's health, it's because there's a secret the White House doesn't want us to know. What shouldn't be a secret at this point is that it's time for the 25th Amendment. And they're right, okay? Look, if things are so bad that his health is deteriorating, they got to have emergency visits to, they say, a dentist, which is probably not where they sent him. Okay, then clearly his ability as president to function is in question now. But I'm not going to say now, because there's been plenty of signs up to now that suggests that he's been deteriorating since he got his second term started, okay? The fits that he has in front of the press, the ranting at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the fucking morning on Lie Social, the way he attacks celebrities and stuff for saying something bad about them or something, you know, and the way he tries to go after, you know, people like Jimmy Kimmel with the FCC, you know, to get revenge, okay? I mean, these are things that's unpresidential. Presidents don't do that kind of stuff, okay? because they don't have to. They know better, for one thing, because it doesn't. You never get anything settled that way if you come off as vindictive and vengeful. People start to hate you because you're acting that way. Contrary to popular belief, people in this country want our president to behave like a king, not rule like a king, but behave like a king. That's why Republicans admired Ronald Reagan so much, because Reagan and his wife paraded around the country like they were royalty. And the Republicans ate that up. And when we had John F. Kennedy, people looked at them sort of like royalty, at least people of the same party. So we have this thing that we want our leaders to act like royalty, but we don't want them to lead like kings and queens and whatever. Okay, so Trump has done nothing that would emulate that kind of an air of superiority. He doesn't seem to act like royalty, and I can't imagine how that sits well with anybody, Democrat or Republican. The way he behaves and stuff. I mean, it's sickening, in a way, to see our president just be such a tool for other people to manipulate, and really a guy who can dish it out but can't take it. And a person like that can be easily provoked. I mean, that's the reason why we got ourselves into this mess here with Iran, right? Because Netanyahu provoked him to do it. Okay, so if Netanyahu wants something, all he's got to do is, pull the levers, over Trump's head and get him to do stuff for him. And that's kind of the way things have been going here. So, but I heard on, was it CNN or something? I guess, I don't know. A recent poll came out showing Trump's approval numbers have sunk even lower. Which means now this is cutting into his base. The MAGA base, because I think everybody agreed in this country that 30% equaled the MAGA base, the people that still supported him, that 30%. Now it's gotten below that, so that means there's enough people in MAGA who don't like what he's doing, and I could tell you why. The price of gas. When you start hurting people in the wallet, whatever support you got from them is gone. It evaporates. Money is all that drives folks at that level. When you're talking MAGA, it's all about the money. And Trump made it sound like these people were going to get rich overnight if he became president a second time. Well, the opposite is happening, because with rising gas prices, right now it's $4.30 a gallon here, the highest I've ever seen it in this state. The price of food and everything else that has to be shipped by diesel trucks goes up, okay? And diesel is like almost $2 more a gallon, okay? So I think that, people start to wake up, okay? They get woke when they find out that, hey, what I was getting for money ain't stretching as far as it used to. And now I have to cut back on this, cut back on that, and if they lose their job, they'd be homeless in an instant. I mean, it's sad times that we're living in, but they are times that's directly responsible for how Trump has been running this country here. And he ain't done a very good job. I mean, I can't imagine anybody could support him now. If he were to run for president for a third term today, he'd lose. You could run Mickey Mouse against him and it would win. So I feel like this is, everything that's happening now is exactly as I predicted it would be. Okay, he's not going to change his stripes, Trump. He ain't going to do that. He ain't going to suddenly wake up and say, oh, I guess I got to reverse everything that I did. That requires a conscience. That requires compassion. That requires intelligence. He ain't got any of that. Okay? Name a business executive or somebody in America who thinks about his workers first before a profit. Somebody? You don't see that. And if Trump everybody wants to label him as a businessman, even though he's failed at it so many times. He thinks like a businessman. You know, it's me first and the employees and everybody else second. And right now, while he's the president, he's there only for himself, only to do what he wants. Okay? All the promises that he made you and all that, he's not keeping any of them. Okay? That was just to get the vote he needed. Which you could argue most politicians do anyway when they run for an office. They're going to promise you high heaven of things. And when they get in there, you're lucky if even they can do one thing that they promised they were going to do. Which is, you know, pretty sad, I think, because by doing that, they make it harder for the next guy to try to run and win, because after a while, people stop believing. That's why we don't have, when we have elections, that we don't have everybody in the country voting, because so many people have given up on the whole process that they just won't vote, you know. And the funny thing, that's a trap. You know, ironically, that is a trap, because the fewer people that vote, the easier it is for the minority groups to win. Because if we all voted at once, the Republicans would never win any seats, ever. Okay, that's the thing. But there's a lot of people out there who think the Democrats are just as bad. But you know, that's an argumentative point of view. I mean, I don't think that really is true in every case. I think overall, Democrats have tried and have succeeded in some ways to help out, you know, people, the workers and stuff like that. They may not always do the right thing, but they certainly care more about those people like you and I than the Republicans do, which is they only care about the top of the rung of the ladder of economic prosperity. So anyway, that's okay, that. So here's this from the New Republic, Greg Sargent. He wrote this op-ed. Hold on a second here. Okay, freaking ads here and all that stuff keep popping up. Okay, it's titled, "Trump Has No Clue What His Supreme Court Has Just Unleashed." Now that the Supreme Court has gutted yet another piece of the Voting Rights Act, this one concerning redistricting, here's one thing we know for sure. Democrats will have to enter into a new era of procedural total war. That might make many of them uncomfortable, but when it comes to the future of the liberal agenda, the stakes are enormous. With Donald Trump's active encouragement, Republicans are already seizing on the ruling which essentially dismantled protections against racial gerrymandering to threaten to redraw maps in the South to eliminate numerous congressional seats with black representatives. While it's largely too late to do this in this cycle, Republicans will likely launch mid-decade redistricting in many southern states heading into 2028, eliminating as many as 19 more Democrat seats in hopes of locking in a near-permanent GOP majority. Okay. In substantive and legal terms, this outcome is awful. From TNR's Matt Ford for a full rundown, but in a purely political sense, is this Armageddon for Democrats? Not necessarily. The reason? Democrats can move to redraw maps in time for the 2028 elections in states where they control the legislatures, which points to one big takeaway from their court ruling. State legislative races, which already attract too little attention, just got a lot more important. Many races underway now will help determine the party's long-term prospects in the scorched earth conflict that's about to unfold. According to a new analysis by Fair Fight Action, a voting rights group, Democrats could redraw anywhere from 10 to 22 additional congressional seats for the party in time for the 2028 elections. If they push hard with redistricting in 7 blue and swing states, the analysis, which is circulating among Democratic leadership aides and outside groups and was obtained by TNR, concludes that being aggressive could theoretically offset Republican gains, even in a maximalist GOP redistricting scenario. Quote, Democrats have a clear path to neutralize this GOP power grab if they want to take it, unquote. Max Flugrath, Senior Communications Director of Fair Fight Action, told me. Quote, "This is the break glass in case of emergency moment for American democracy," unquote. The range of potential Democratic gains is so broad because so much depends on which party controls key state legislatures after the fall elections. Strikingly, even if Democrats flip 0 chambers, they can redraw up to 10 additional congressional districts for the party. The analysis finds by maximizing gerrymanders in New York, Colorado, Oregon, and Maryland, where Democrats control governorships and state legislatures. But even more strikingly, Democrats could redraw as many as 22 additional congressional districts for the party overall if they flip legislative chambers in other states and redraw aggressively in them, the analysis finds. Take Wisconsin, where the governor is a Democrat and Republicans control the state legislature. Democrats think they have a good shot at flipping both legislative houses due in part to dramatic Democratic overperformances in recent special elections. Notably, Republicans control 6 congressional seats in Wisconsin, while Democrats control 2. But the state is evenly divided, with Democrats winning recent statewide elections there. Ironically, precisely because Wisconsin has long been heavily gerrymandered for the GOP, Democrats can now redraw 3 additional House districts just for themselves, the analysis finds, by unpacking current urban districts and linking up Democratic voters in the North. Then there's Minnesota, where Democrats control the governorship and the state Senate. The state House is tied, but Democrats are bullish on flipping at least 1 seat, which would mean a trifecta. While the state constitution may bar an immediate redistricting, that could theoretically be amended in time for Democrats to redistrict for the 2028 or 2030 elections. Another possibility is Pennsylvania. This would require flipping 1 legislative chamber, the Senate, and redrawing aggressively by concentrating Republicans in central rural districts and spreading around urban Democrat voters more. The Fair Fight Action analysis finds it argues that 3 congressional seats are gettable in Wisconsin, 3 in Minnesota, and up to 6 in Pennsylvania. Quote, 22 House seats across 7 states may sound like a heavy lift, unquote, Flugrath told me. Quote, but our analysis shows it's well within reach if blue state governors and legislatures squeeze every potential seat out of the maps, unquote. This blueprint attempts to quantify the very outer range of what's possible. Many challenges loom, such as that of protecting minority voting while spreading votes around to maximal benefit. Quote, this analysis assumes that any responsive maps protect, not weaken, the voting power of black and brown communities, unquote, the memo says, urging Democrats to avoid, quote, splitting up voters of color or diluting their representation, unquote. Okay. What's more, much will be decided by how hard Democrats push, but they are gearing up. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told Political that Democrats will seek gerrymanders at minimum in New York, Colorado, Maryland, and Illinois. Flipping more legislatures this cycle is also essential, however. Quote, the only path to ensure communities of color aren't silenced into perpetuity, and Democrats have a shot at a durable U.S. House majority, is to win more state houses, unquote. Heather Williams, president of the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, told me, quote, this is an all-hands-on-deck moment, unquote. Meanwhile, contests like the Georgia gubernatorial race have suddenly taken on new importance. Republicans control the state legislature there, and they're already threatening a gerrymander next year. But a Democrat governor could thwart it. Quote, as governor, I will veto any map that dilutes the voices of black and Latino voters, unquote. Keisha Lance Bottoms, a leading Democrat candidate in the state, told me in a statement. To be clear, none of this should have had to happen, though Democrats have gerrymandered themselves. Though Democrats have gerrymandered themselves over the years, Republicans went full throttle and never looked back after capturing many state legislatures in their 2010 midterm rout. Democrats have attempted for years to model an alternative path with independent redistricting commissions in many states and with federal legislation ending gerrymandering for both sides. The Democrat position then has long been that neither side should gerrymander. It disrespects the opposition's voters and allows lawmakers to insulate themselves from accountability. But if Republicans insist on it, Democrats will have no choice but to do the same. The vain hope of many good government liberals had been that charting a path toward mutual de-escalation just might entice Republicans to join them, but with Republicans openly threatening to maximize their own gerrymanders after the court ruling, such hope of mutual forbearance is now plainly dead. Yet, if Democrats have a good cycle on the state legislative level, there will be real opportunities to mitigate the GOP advantage. We don't know how willingly Democrats will undertake all this, but they will undoubtedly come under intense pressure to do so. If Republicans make good on their threats, the choice for Democrats will be stark: push forward or perish. If Republicans don't like it, too bad. This is the world they wanted, and it is they who are now inflicting it on us. I can't say I disagree. It's, what's good for the gander is good for the goose, basically. So, yeah, I mean, what the Supreme Court did here was very short-sighted. I mean, yes, they were placating the right wing, but in doing so, they've opened up a Pandora's box. And now both sides are going to be going like crazy, drawing maps, okay? Both sides are going to do that. And if the Democrats don't, it would be like, they're giving up. It could be like political suicide if they don't counter this this thing that Republicans are already doing. They didn't wait. The minute they heard that it was green lit by the Supreme Court, they jumped right on it. So the Democrats are going to have to do the same. They're going to have to go right out there and counter this as best they can. And what gets lost in doing that? We get lost. The voters get lost. Our voice is diluted on both sides. Because what they're doing is they're just rounding up voters. They're not going to trust the voters to make the right decision. They're just gathering voters who vote through loyalty to party, which is kind of what's been going on in the country, but it hasn't been to this level here. So they're only scooping up the voters they know will vote for them, while the rest of us, we don't get a choice. I mean, essentially, we can't, I still say that if every Democrat votes, we don't need to have redistricting to win. Our numbers far supersede the Republicans, okay? There's like 65% of the country's Democrat, okay? And I'm just saying that from the last thing I read about that more than half the country is Democrat connected, or they believe in democratic ideals. The rest of the country is conservative leaning. And so if everybody voted, the Republicans would never win. That's kind of what sparked the redistricting thing in the first place, was that the Republicans knew that they were on the losing end of every fucking thing that they ever stood for, because there's not enough people that agree with them. So instead of changing the narrative, instead of changing their position on things, like we'll take abortion for instance, because they're so unyielding in their position about that, and brazenly so. I mean, I think the idea that they would rather see a woman die from a birth, and okay, you know what I'm saying? When these people talk like that, like they don't care, then how are they supposed to expect anyone to vote for them or support them? I mean, only the extreme right wing will constantly support them, because that's the core voting base. They're loyal to them to a fault. So those kind of people will vote against their own self-interest every single time. And believe it or not, there will be people in the next presidential election, if we ever have one, will vote against themselves again. Even after all this shit that's been going on, they will still, vote for Republican Party, whoever that may be that's running. Okay, they will still vote for that, not learning a goddamn thing, because they They've been taught to hate Democrats like they're the devil themselves, okay? That's what you call homebred conservatism. I mean, they grew up in that fucking shit. Their parents beat their heads over the, beat them over the head with that notion, and that's all they understand. You can't ask them about where they stand on things, because oftentimes, if you question a Republican hard enough, they're going to slip up and say something that a Democrat would say. Okay, and that's the thing they don't want to be looked at, is that they're pretending to be conservative, but they really have very liberal ideas and liberal thinking going on. I mean, we may not see it all the time, but when you push a Republican hard enough, they're going to slip up and say something that it's like, oh, I didn't know you would. That's what Democrats want. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these people, they're saying things about Democrats only because they've, exposed themselves to extreme conservative rhetoric all their fucking life. And they've been taught never to listen to a Democrat or their ideas, never think about it. The minute you hear the word Democrat, it should curl the hair in your nose. Okay? They hate them for no goddamn good reason. It's like what's going on with Israel, and hate them no matter what, okay? It's genocide war over there, okay? That's the kind of political thinking we got right here in this country. Is that it's like two sides of a magnet now that can't connect, okay? It's opposite sides. That's how bad it's gotten. So this redistricting thing is just another manifestation of that same problem. Okay, you got the two sides who cannot come together. They can't come to the table and agree on a fucking thing now, which means the only thing that's, the only time anybody gets their way is if they are in the majority. And everything has to be vote proof or something, where they can get 60 votes. And okay, everything has to be like that. It's very, very rare now. You're going to see, Republicans siding with Democrats on anything, unless they do it just because they know they'll still lose, but they want to say, oh, well, see, I tried to support that, even though they knew their vote would be meaningless. Okay, Susan Collins has done that many times in her fucking career. She puts a vote that's against the Republicans, but it don't matter at the end of the day because there wasn't enough Republican votes to begin with, so she could sacrifice her image on that altar there and then turn around and come back and support something Republicans like when they got the votes to do it. It's gamesmanship is what it is, and I hate that when people can't be honest with yourself and with the people that voted you in. If you don't like something, then just don't like it. If you like something, then like it. Don't fucking vote because politically I should vote this way because then it would make me, They look at the whole thing as a game of chess. And like I said, at the end of the day, what matters most than anything else that you do in politics, it's how the people look at you. The people that voted for you, they're expecting you to do things for them. And if you're worried about not getting votes, well, maybe you're not doing enough that the people put you in there for. I mean, let's go back to the basics of what politics, how you play it. You ask people to vote for you because you promise you're gonna try to do things for them that they need, and you get their vote. When you get in there, what they expect you to do is to uphold all the promises you made, right? Or at least appear to be vested in trying to get things through. I mean, I know one voice can't really get what they want, but they're going to expect you to put your money where your mouth is at the end of the day. So they want to see that. That's what voters want. I mean, we want someone there who speaks for us, and what we are saying, and what we want. It should be what that person is in there for to do. But we haven't had that in a long time, have we? I mean, I can think of Bernie Sanders. He's never changed his fucking tune. That's why he's there so old, and he still is, because he actually speaks the fucking shit that people put him in there for. But nobody there wants to hear him. Everybody looks at Bernie like he's some kind of a mad scientist or something. Okay, they only need him when they only want like him when they need him for something, to gather people to vote for somebody. But when Bernie Sanders is talking about, taxing the rich and all that stuff, they're like, oh, you stay away from me. And that's both sides of the political aisle, not just Republicans, but Democrats too. They all do the same shit, okay? So, to me, what we need, I think, and a lot of times, is we need to have a really strong third party in this country to give people an option other than just right or left, okay? You know what I'm saying? We need to have something different. So, I know we have an independent party, but nobody really looks at that as a serious party. I mean, people seem to think that that's, I don't know, some kind of a circus party or something. I don't know. Nobody looks at that as, what we need is a real progressive party. The independent party should, you know, improve itself, redress itself, you know, come out swinging at both parties, give people some kind of an idea that, hey, you know what, I may not like either party, but there is a party I could vote for because they seem to be on par with the workers. And that's kind of where the Democrats, you'll get to see where the Democrats are in the political spectrum when you have a true left-wing party out there, progressive party. Because I can tell you right now, the Democrat Party is more closer to the right than they used to be. Okay, and that's weird considering. But we don't have a really hard left party like the Republicans have a hard right-leaning party now. The pendulum has to swing evenly, and if you're not gonna, you know, and if you're not gonna counter evenly with the other side, you're gonna lose. You know, and that's what I'm saying. We need to get the Democrats reformed. Get some real people in there that really, really are left-leaning and not just in the middle of the road, okay? Because this tug-of-war can only win when one side is pulling harder than the other. So, yeah. Anyway, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This
is me.
me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Family's fought for 100 years. You don't want to be the one that can't keep it going, you know.
I am a Republican. I voted for this administration, but my patience is running thin.
We're here in the heart of the Mississippi Delta to talk with farmers about how the war with Iran is impacting them.
Oh, it's been awful.
The closure of the Strait of Hormuz is causing prices to skyrocket, things like diesel fuel and fertilizer.
We're buying a little bit at a time. And sometimes we know that we've only got 2 weeks of fuel. So what has happened to us is not just the impact of 1 year. We have lost customers forever. They will never come back because we're deemed an unreliable supplier.
I'm paying 60% more for diesel fuel than I would have been paying 45 days ago.
You got to have diesel for everything. You got diesel to disc, to plant, to harvest. So diesel steadily going up like this, man, it affects us bad.
You have no choice. You know, you've got to go ahead and buy it, no matter what the price is.
There's going to be a lot of people that go out of business at the end of the year, either because they have to or because they're tired of losing money.
Farmers have already been struggling with rising costs and even tariffs making things even harder.
It's going to be the nail in the coffin for a number of farmers. It's just the straw that broke the camel's back.
A lot of the money that comes through the economy is just shuffled from the government back to, you know, these big corporations, and just kind of, your farmer's a middleman these days. Really are.
It just seems like the farmers' margins were already slim, and they just keep getting slimmer and slimmer.
We can't control diesel, we can't control, wars, we can't control anything. All we can control is once we put that seed in the ground, That's all we are called to do, right? And the rest of it is up to the good Lord.
Now, I've supported Mr. Trump this entire way. I was a big supporter of his, but I do not agree with this, and I'm not happy about this at all.
I did not vote for this administration. We're just hoping that the administration can right some of the wrongs that it's created for farmers with tariffs and mainly what this war has inflicted on us.
A lot of people that did vote for this administration say it'll come around, but my question sometimes is, will you be in business when it does?
If President Trump were standing here in this field right now, what would you say?
I'd ask him to stick a sock in his mouth and not say anything for a while.
Get these fuel prices down. Get them down.
There's an old African proverb that says, when elephants fight, it's the ants that get crushed. The ants are getting crushed.
War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Hey, Maggot, we're talking to you. You're the red hat crowd and the flag waving crew. You said he was a savior, said he'd make it right, but he was picking your pocket in the dead of night. Sold your dreams like a roadside show, while the rich got richer and your wages stayed low. You cheered every lie like it was the truth. Now the joke's wearing thin and it's aimed at you. You called it strength, you called it pride, but you never looked too far behind. This is what you voted for. Closed down towns and endless wars, billionaires settling all the scores. Tell me what you think this was for. This is what you voted for. Truth kicked out and lies at the door. You can't say you didn't know. Everybody tried to warn you so. Hey, Maggot, look around your street. Empty storefronts and the rising heat. Healthcare cut while the costs go high, but the man you trusted still living high. He dined with kings while you stood in line. Sold your future for a catchy line. Drained the swamp, yeah, what a twist. He filled it up with his buddy list. You waved the flag, you cursed the press. Now you're drowning in the mess. This is what you voted for. Troops and tanks at your neighbor's door. Families torn on a courtroom floor. Tell me what you think this was for. This is what you voted for. Truth kicked out and lies at the door. You can't say you didn't know. Everybody tried to warn you so. Was it fear? Was it rage? Was it feeling left off the page? Was it easy just to believe every promise up his sleeve? 'Cause a con man don't need a gun, just a crowd and a loaded tongue. And he played you like a melody. Now you're stuck in his symphony. Hey, Maggot, it ain't too late. You can change your mind, you can change your fate. A vote ain't chains, it's a key in hand. You can turn it around, you can make a stand. For the workers, the sick, the poor, for the ones you were before. Before the anger, before the show, before you let that devil grow. This is what what you voted for, but it don't have to be no more. You can walk right out that door. You don't have to live this war. This is what you voted for. Now you know what it costs for sure. And for God's sake, turn off Fox News. They're selling lies to tighten screws. Stand back up, don't be owned, shake free from the billionaires' hold. Hey MAGA, yeah, we're still talking to you. It ain't about shame, it's about what you do. You can turn it around, you can change the road. It starts right here with your next vote.
DoorDash Girl, the sneaky spy who brings the fries.
She delivers, she discovers, snap and share it all.
Press the crash out button and... I'm the victim! DoorDash Girl, the villain next door.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. So I have this other article here, this op-ed here from Randy Rhodes, and it's entitled "No Money for ICE. Iran Funding is Next." The U.S. House passed the Senate version of the funding bill for most of the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. It explicitly does not include funding for ICE and CBP, which is Customs and Border Protection. The bill keeps the rest of DHS running, including TSA, Secret Service, FEMA, and the Coast Guard. After Trump signed it, the longest DHS shutdown on record, which was 76 fucking days, ended that. Democrats were always willing to fund DHS minus ICE and CBP. Democrats would fund ICE and CBP immediately if policy changes were implemented. The killings in Minnesota involving masked, aggressive, vulgar, swarming, poorly trained ICE and CBP agents were captured on video and triggered national controversy and investigations. Renee Good was shot in the face by ICE. Alex Preddy was shot in the back by CBP. Both victims were called, quote, domestic terrorists, unquote, by Kirsty Noem and DHS officials early and often. We still don't have the results of the only investigation into their deaths, so don't hold your breath, just believe your own eyes. Democrats want ICE agents to take off their masks and put their names on their uniforms like all law enforcement officers do. Democrats want national standards, the same as most local police, with tighter limits on use of force. Democrats want mandatory body cams that must be turned on during encounters with civilians. Democrats want outside review of shootings and deaths not just internal. More de-escalation training and crisis response nationwide. Right now, it takes 47 days of training to join ICE, plus a very mediocre background check. Christ, anybody could join. Jesus, no wonder these people look like, you know, like people you'd see in a bar, you know. 47 days, Jesus Christ. Republicans ultimately agreed to move those agencies into a separate bill to break the stalemate. This bill will be handled in a budget reconciliation bill, a process that can pass with a simple majority. That bill could include tens of billions in additional funding over the $74.85 billion already appropriated in the last year's big beautiful bill. For fiscal year 2026, according to the House Appropriations Committee report, ICE's baseline annual appropriations is roughly $11 billion. This is the funding Congress recommended in the fiscal year 2026 Homeland Security Appropriations Bill. Beyond the normal annual appropriations bill, $45 billion was added for expanded detention capacity to build and operate detention centers for immigrants over several years. Additional money, $29.85 billion, for hiring, training, and retaining ICE personnel with bonuses and student loan forgiveness. Yeah. Combined, these two provisions alone would total approximately $74.85 billion earmarked for ICE over the fiscal year 2025 through fiscal year 2029 period, on top of the normal annual budget. That represents a dramatic expansion in resources for immigration enforcement overall. So, the House is working this week, but the Senate is not. Usually I shrug when Congress takes another recess, but Friday marked the 60th day since February the 28th, when the administration notified lawmakers of the strikes against Iran. Since 1973, presidents under the War Powers Resolution must seek congressional authorization to continue hostilities beyond 60 days, with an additional 30-day period given to the president for withdrawal of forces if authority is not granted. Democratic presidents have skirted this law, most notably Obama in Libya, who extended hostilities for 78 days without a vote, but it was still within the 90-day window. Bill Clinton allowed a NATO-led air campaign to deal with Kosovo for 7 months. Since U.S. forces had a limited role, Clinton argued the clock wasn't triggered. Trump argues congressional approval for use of force isn't constitutional. The War Powers Clause found in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the U.S. Constitution explicitly states that only Congress has the authority to declare war. Trump, we lost our way. After Vietnam cost us 58,000 American lives without a declaration of war, Congress passed the War Powers Resolution over Richard Nixon's veto to try to end presidents using dubious legal language to authorize endless wars. Again, the law was passed in 1973 and still stands beside the Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the Constitution. It ought to mean something. Democrats forced a Senate vote on Thursday for the 6th time. Quote, "We'll continue to force votes every week as this war rages on," unquote, Schumer said from the Senate floor. A handful of GOP senators have said for weeks that Congress should assert its authority over the war at some point. One of those senators, Maine's Susan Collins, voted for the first time with Democrats on Thursday to halt the war, probably because she's in hot water here running for her seat again. She said in a statement she wants to see a defined strategy for bringing the conflict to a close. Quote, "The president's authority as commander-in-chief is not without limits," unquote, Collins said, adding that the 60-day deadline is, quote, "not a suggestion, it is a requirement," unquote. In addition to Collins, Republican Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, John Curtis of Utah, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and Josh Hawley of Missouri, among others, have said in recent weeks that they would eventually like to see a vote. But not this week? Okay, then enjoy the gas prices. Another option, don't fund this war. Yeah, so there you go. What can I say? I mean, when, you know, other than what I've been saying, is that Congress needs to do its fucking job. I mean, we scream at the post office, we scream, you know, at policemen all the time, do your job, do your job. Okay, where's the people, you know, outside Congress screaming, do your fucking job? Okay, we need to be out there pounding the fucking pavement, you know, throwing it in their face, that we're not happy with them sitting on their thumbs, you know, deciding. Okay, we need to start getting votes. These people need to get active, and if they're too old to do it, then that should be a sign that maybe we should stop voting for people that were born in the 1940s. Okay, and start putting in some young blood in there who have the energy to fight these fights. Okay, and you know, it's time for people to understand that, you know, these political games don't help anybody. Okay, they really don't. In times of crisis like this, they got to be focused, they have to be determined, and they got to be resolute. They have to be able to do their fucking job. And stop taking all these fucking breaks, stop taking time off for weeks at a time. You know, that shouldn't even be allowed. These people, they're only there for what? You know, a number of years, just a handful of years for some of them. Why do they need so much time off? They should be working every fucking day, except for the actual holidays the rest of us take time off for. But they shouldn't have, like, going to college and you get a whole fucking weeks and break. You know what I'm saying? Forget that. Enough of that shit, okay? If you're a public servant, you should be serving the public all the fucking time, because you never know what's going to happen while you're out there skating around on a fucking vacation. You need to be at home working, because life doesn't take a pause because you're on vacation. You need to be in Washington doing your fucking job until your term is up. That way, people know you mean what you say, that you're going to work. Okay, these ridiculous breaks. I mean, unless you're sick and dying, okay, you shouldn't be doing anything other than your fucking job. Okay? I can't, you know, this fucking, it seems like they're always on break. Doesn't it seem like that to you? Every time you turn on, well, we got to recall all the because they're on break. What for? They just had one. These people get so much pampering, you know, that they get lazy. They don't want to do their fucking job, and when they come back, they're like miserable and irritable, and they argumentative, and all they want to do is play stupid, silly games. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's a good example of somebody that's not really there doing her job when she was there. Okay, she's only saying things now because she's trying to salvage her fucking image. But like I'm saying, that's what you get. People who aren't really there for the people who voted for them. They're just there to get their fucking paycheck, whatever that may be. You know. Okay, here's this article here from the Feed, entitled "The Very Public Shaming of a Republican Predator." The nation was treated to the astonishing sight of a Republican member of Congress professionally disemboweling one of her conservative colleagues by officially entering very credible claims of his disgraceful conduct into the House record. The spectacle shone a very bright and unwelcome light on House Speaker Mike Johnson and the entire Republican caucus, who've willingly embraced and overlooked the monster in their midst for years, showcasing once again that there's no amount of duplicity or malfeasance they aren't willing to tolerate to cling to power. Notorious axe grinder Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina put her Republican colleague, Florida's Corey Mills, through the proverbial meat grinder, and one of the most brutal public takedowns you'll likely ever witness in the House, especially one involving two members of the same party. During Secretary of War Crimes Pete Hegseth's appearance before the House Armed Services Committee, Mace ignored him entirely and instead decided to paste her burn book into the public record. Quote, I request unanimous consent to enter a number of documents into the record, unquote, Mace began. Quote, the first of which is a statement from Corey Mills, First Sergeant, stating his forms and accounts of his military service are falsified. Quote, the second document is a picture of Corey Mills wearing a Bronze Star from 2019 before he ever got a Bronze Star, unquote. And they show a picture here, but I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. Anyway, quote, the third document is a document that conveys a Bronze Star medal and his life-saving care to the wounded, and according to the soldiers who were there, they said it never happened, according to the men who were there, unquote. Quote, I would like to enter to record a picture of Corey Mills who says this is the second time he got blown up, but what he wouldn't tell people is that the blood on the pant leg in this photo is the blood of Sergeant Ray. It is not Corey Mills's blood. Quote, in the same series of photos he shares when he said he was, quote, blown up, are images of a Humvee that exploded with severe damage. That is not his Humvee. Quote, this is a picture of Corey Mills with a purported Russian hooker in Afghanistan, which he, of course, denies, unquote. Then she dropped the real kicker. Quote, I would like to request unanimous consent to enter into the record a restraining order against Corey Mills for dating violence, unquote. Why did she do all this? Quote, I just buried my father on Thursday, Mr. Chairman. My father died of shrapnel in his body. He had 3 tours of combat, 2 in Vietnam, 1 in 1965 during the coup d'etat of the Dominican Republic, unquote, said Mace. Quote, and I take stolen valor seriously because we have men and women in uniform that have given their lives, and an individual that steals the stories of dead soldiers or injured soldiers has no right to serve in this body, let alone on this committee, unquote. As a survivor of sexual assault and the daughter of a veteran, Mace is rightfully furious that Speaker Johnson's caucus continues to protect Mills and refuses to expel him from the House. Not only is Mills accused of having beaten his girlfriend, Sarah Raviani, so badly that she suffered visible bruising, police overheard him telling her to lie to them about the assault. Mills, who's 45, is also accused of threatening to release nude photographs of a different girlfriend, Lindsay Langston, who's 19 years his junior, and threatening to physically assault any of her future boyfriends. A judge issued an order restricting Mills from going within 500 feet of Langston's residence or making any mention of or reference to her on social media. The court found that Langston, quote, has reasonable cause to believe she is in imminent danger of becoming the victim of another act of dating violence, unquote. On paper, Corey Mills is the antithesis of everything the Republican Party pinky swears it stands for: family values, honorable military service, positive masculinity, and honesty. But instead, this absolute slimeball still has the support and endorsement of Johnson, who, in a sustained assault on our collective intelligence, pretends to have simply been too busy to read the news or consume a single piece of media since becoming Speaker of the House. Quote, you have to ask Representative Mills about that. He's been a faithful colleague here. I don't know all the details. Let's talk about things that are really serious, unquote, Johnson said just a few weeks ago. It's been said before, but it bears repeating. There is no bottom for these Republicans. There is no limit to their cynicism, their hypocrisy, their moral depravity, or their singular obsession with power. Making them pay at the ballot box is the only recourse we are left with. America cannot tolerate being governed by these reprobates any longer. To that end, meet Bale Dalton, the Democrat candidate running for Mills's seat. Dalton is a veteran who didn't lie about his military service to get his hands on a medal, and has never beaten any women, and also happened to serve both as Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief of Staff at NASA. So, but this shouldn't surprise us. I mean, the same party is protecting Trump at every angle, okay? I mean, they must have people running 24/7 all night long, trying to cover up, figure out ways to shield Trump. And now this Corey Mills thing, another one being protected by his, constituents, okay? They spend so much time covering up each other's ass, they've got no time for anything else, it seems like. And do we really want to stick with a party that does that, puts their own self-interest ahead of the country's? That they don't care if a person's got a criminal record? They don't care that someone's a wife beater or something like that, that they're going to protect, they're going to circle the wagons around this fucker here and defend him? At the same time, we got shit happening overseas, internationally and here at home that needs addressing, and they're the majority party, and they're too busy fucking around covering each other's ass for the crimes they're doing. Is that the party we want to keep voting for? They lost their way. And the Republicans, who, by and large, I mean, I think you could say they have this religious connection here with the Christianity. If these people still had any Christianity left in their bones, they would turn their backs on the Republican Party and say, until you guys clean up your act, we're not coming back. That's what I would be doing. I mean, that's kind of the reason why I stopped going to church as a Catholic, because the Catholic church that I was going to, almost every Sunday, they political things that were pro-Republican, okay? And I was getting sick of getting campaign speeches from a priest, okay? I'm just, it's like, no, we're not here for that, okay? But too often now, religion and politics are intermingled now, and that's wrong. And it's worse when you look at the Republican Party, because there is so many tentacles from Christianity and that are intertwined with Republicanism. And look what they've become. The party of family values. That's a laugh. Okay, they should stop saying that to themselves, because nobody's listening to that and thinking that's true. Okay, nobody does that. Okay, and it's just crazy that we have this kind of problem now in our politics. If you're a politician, political matters, that means the country, our government, that should be the priority. Keep your religion out of it. You can still be religious as you want to be on your time, but when you're in the fucking office, public servant, you're supposed to be there doing that job, okay? And leave your politics at home. Leave your fucking religion at home, because it gets in the way of doing what's right. You people that are very religious, you have some pretty screwy ideas about things that don't really manifest in reality very well. You know what I'm saying? This anti-abortion stand you take, it's a very black and white issue with you, but life is rarely black and white, very rare, okay? And until you meet every person that has an abortion, and I mean every single person, until you go and talk to these people, listen to their story, okay, you can't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You can't. I'm sorry, but if you want life to be black and white, then you have to eliminate the freedom of choice. And how many of you adults out there are willing to give that up? Okay, that's one thing to be a kid and not have many choices available to you because your parents are trying to guide you to do the right thing. But once you're adult, once you leave home, you want to be able to be. Why do you think kids, when they go to college, they get into drunk parties and shit like that? It's because they got freedom now. It's because they want to explore. They want to soak it up, basically. That now we can do what we want, and the parents aren't going to be there to discipline us. Okay, that's why so many of them get in legal problems and shit like that, because they go too far. Now, imagine, a government that's going to take that away because, we don't trust you to do the right thing, so we're going to tell you. How many of you people are going to be willing to do that? I mean, that's like all the shit that you say about communism right there. And because it's coming from a religious mouth doesn't make it any better. Communism founded in religion is not a fucking thing you still want. Okay, it's just ridiculous. And I feel like, when you got people in our government who are so immoral to that degree, and they're part of the Republican Party of all things. What does that say about that party? I'm not, yeah, we've had some rotten assholes in the Democrat Party, and most of them get their asses kicked out, okay, rightly so. Democrats won't really put up with that shit, okay? But with the Republicans, they circle the wagons. Why? Because they need that seat. They need that position. Otherwise, they're going to lose their majority, or they're going to lose their kind of power they got. It's all about protecting their fucking position in politics, the power base. Okay? They may not like the guy. They may not even like Corey Mills. They probably already know what he's done, but they don't like him at all. But they need him. And when you're putting your needs over what's right and wrong, you're fucked up. You cross the line. You're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. Accountability is everything in this country. Without it, we don't really have a democracy, do we? People have to be kept inside of a line here where things are ethical. And when you put people in power that are unethical, immoral, I mean, what are you going to do? You're wrecking everything. You're wrecking your own image. You're wrecking your party's image. You're wrecking the whole country's image. That's what Trump has been doing. He's made us a laughingstock. Maybe they're not laughing anymore. Maybe they're just grinding their teeth. They hate us that much more. Like, just what was it? This week, Trump pulled troops out of Germany, okay, to send off the fight. NATO wasn't happy about that. I mean, at the same time, I know I reported that NATO has been beefing up their countries, militarily speaking, because they're basically going to turn their back on the United States anyway, because they don't like what we're doing. They don't like the idea that, we can bully them by saying, well, if you don't do things our way, we're gonna take our power away from you. You're guarantor of world peace. We'll just step out of the thing. So NATO has responded by saying, well, fine, you're not going to be the only superpower. We'll build up our own fucking superpower. Okay, well, we won't need you. That's what NATO is up to right now. Okay. But the idea that he's pulled troops out of Germany at a time when Germany is trying to build up its military to protect, from anything that Russia might be doing, that really pissed them off. I mean, I think that drove the death nail in the coffin for their opinion of the United States, thanks to Trump. Okay, so when you got a person that doesn't understand why we make agreements with countries, why we stand with other countries, why we promise to be there to help them and stuff like that. If you got a guy that doesn't care because, his personal need is, well, we need to fight that war over there, this endless fucking forever war, okay, that's driving up prices here and gas. Okay, if that's more important to him than the stability of the free world, then he's not really qualified to be sitting in the White House. He never was anyway, but it's even worse now that we see his actions and we hear what he says, we read what he says. All these things combined said that this is the last guy we ever should have voted for in the first place. He never should have been allowed to run for the first term, let alone the second. Okay? Because he's proven time and time again that he is not qualified to sit in the White House. We've had far, far better political leaders in the White House in this country's history than Donald Trump. He's a stain on our government history, okay? And that's a stain that's going to be there for a long fucking time coming. And Republicans, you're always going to be the punching bag, as they say, whenever that subject's brought up about Donald Trump. You guys are going to sit here and talk about Democrat, he's corrupt and all that, then someone's going to drop the name Donald Trump. That's going to shut you up, because you can't say anything from here on out about Democrats not being, honest or whatever. Because, frankly, Trump has set the bar for what we consider to be an unwanted person. It's your party that's actually lowered that bar. So you guys have lost credibility there to even make an opinion about what kind of a leader that a Democrat should be. You guys expect a high fucking standard from the left, But when it comes to your own people, the bar is practically in the mud. You guys don't give a shit. But you always try to get the people to turn on Democrats because, oh, well, he ran around on his wife or something like, you know what I'm saying? They always raise the bar ever higher on the right, okay? But they don't apply it to their own party. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great work week coming here. And subscribe, comment, share. And keep your ears open for health issues out there. I mean, it's in some parts of the country, it's wet and rainy and stuff. You can still catch a cold or something. And, just keep your ears open for that. Help each other out. Times get tough like they are now. Gas is, at least here, $4.30 a gallon. It's probably higher where you are. People, we need to really watch our money, our spending, and when there's people with less than we have out there, if you have anything to spare, or anything you can give, even if it's not money, try and do something. I mean, it can't hurt you, and it's good karma, And the more you do it, the easier it gets to do more, I find. Okay. So try and do that. Just be a positive. We got to stop accepting negative all the time around us. Start being a symbol for positivity. And I'll talk to you guys later, so take care, everybody. Bye-bye.